Could a kill switch for crypto be in the cards? Today we'll break it down for you guys. There is a lot happening today that is impacting the markets. I do want to thank our sponsor today, and that is Tangem. Hit that Get Tangem right there. You'll be able to get 20 bucks in Bitcoin back. What I want you to do, though, is go over to the family pack. So that's going to give you 2 different wallets for a great discount using our code. It's going to stack that for you. Check it out. If you're not in self-custody, believe me, after today's episode, you will be. So check it out down below. Let's get into a couple of points that are happening right now. The Clarity Act is under siege. And of course, the question is whether or not the Senate Ag bill gets cleared through the House tomorrow, which is going to be the day that everybody needs to understand. This is when crypto is most likely going to move. Even though we've got an FOMC today, I think we're all facing big things tomorrow, one way or the other. But right now, Clarity Act holding at about 56%, slightly up, but not much movement right now. Some other things that are coming out within some of the reports is that it's unclear of how many amendments will be taken up. So though some are expecting the markup to take around 2 hours, Democrats are all still publicly withholding support for the bill. So think about that behind the scenes. There is a lot of negotiations being done for sure. One of the things, though, that I think is going to impact this is some of the insider trading that is clearly being done. You've got Katie Britt violated the Stock Act. This, of course, is 24 late disclosures. Let's just show you. Remember, she's on the banking committee where Katie Britt was making her trades. Right there it is. JP Morgan. Boom. And, of course, JP Morgan flies up the charts. Oh, and there's Visa as well. Oh, Visa got pulled out of the Clarity Act. These are the kind of things that are happening, guys, right now in the Senate. This is a problem because, of course, you're dealing with, this right here, JP Morgan Chase. Look how many of these holders. 51 politicians right now. This, of course, over on Capital Trades. You can find all this data. It's available to you. They are very tied to the banking industry. Hence why we have such a major pushback from the banking industry on the Clarity Act, all centered around stablecoin yield. While the banks are go over and getting influence on our politicians, clearly via these trades, now you have the SEC in the crosshairs, where Citadel and of course JP Morgan raided the SEC on Tuesday to raise concerns, guess what, about what's happening right now about the pro-crypto agenda. And part of this, I think, was triggered by the Senate Ag bill, which may have signs of getting through the House. And of course, if that happens, a lot more pressure on the banks. And remember, SIFMA, which is also part of this is the voice of the securities industry, all right? I just want to go down and see who's on the board at large. Oh, look at that. More banks, banks upon banks, upon banks. Yes, they're over there at the SEC right now, basically staking their case of that they are about to lose the monopoly that they have held on pillaging the American investors for decades. And of course, everybody's going to be watching this, guys. You watch. It's going to be a big deal going forward. One of the major components in the bills, of course, is tokenized securities, stocks. You look at the amount of control that now is being looked at for tokenized securities. Well, most of the time that's been in companies outside of the corporate regulators. That is about to change. The DTCC is about to go full tokenized stocks, being able to issue them. Watch this clip.
So DTCC is really leaning in on interoperability standards. If I have a blockchain wallet and I've got 32 tokens in it, that's nice. I can interact with and transact with those tokens freely. This is based on an ERC-like equivalence, standards on how the tokens are transacted and controlled and how wallets are registered and operated, and to exhibit interoperability in the way that we execute from a technology perspective.
All right, he said some good things there with exception of a couple of words that I didn't like. One was the ERC-like. So are they using a different technology? When you look at this tweet right here by the GC over at Vita, and we talked about this before, but what she was getting at was this, and that the DTCC is getting into the business of tokenizing equities. And this is directly competing with crypto native companies like Securitize, Superstate, etc. This could get interesting, very interesting. I agree with her of how this plays out, because this is the government getting into tokenizing securities and what this might look like coming down the pipeline is going to be huge. Remember that there has been a couple of things that we've always been concerned about. One, of course, has been circuit breakers. We've seen them in the past. Amanda Tuminelli from the DeFi Education Fund, we had her on the show last week, and they were in the midst of starting to really read through the Senate Ag. But what was concerning to her and the team, their researchers, was that there was a kill switch in here. And this, of course, has been done before. This, of course, is talking about the Nomad hack. What you have is a whistleblower here that has revealed that the FTC has a policy in line what they're trying to do now, and that is to put a kill switch into crypto. This, of course, would go directly into DeFi. This is a huge issue, especially by the FTC, if this were to get enacted. This, of course, right here was Vlad. Remember, this is a 5-year post Gamestop. What he said, though, today, because this is the anniversary, is that hopefully it's never going to happen. We can ensure that it never happens again. A couple of points he highlighted, I highlighted down in here, is we're planning to unlock 24/7 trading and DeFi access, which will allow investors to self-custody their stock tokens and the possibility of lending and staking and more. So you know DeFi and how it works. Robinhood has already enabled this in Europe. Do they know something around what's going to happen with Senate Ag? Are they maybe influencing that through what their DC connections are doing? Does this get things going for Robinhood here in the United States when it comes to tokenized securities? This is all the way back in January of 2021. 44 different circuit breakers were halting trading in the first 2 hours. This, of course, was Robinhood and Schwab were both the ones being hit. Now, the reason that's important is because that damaged Robinhood in a big way. I think it may have kept them away from maybe becoming the de facto crypto platform because of what happened with the GameStop scenario. So as you can see, this would not be, I think, a good action for where the FTC is trying to go. It's going to end up pushing people into DeFi deeper. And of course, with Jupiter now tied into Ondo, you're able to get 200 plus tokenized stocks on this. And this is right now no KYC. This is the thing that I think people are missing. And this is going to push this next generation investor into a complete black hole of where TradFi maybe never realized most of these investors are intending to go in the first place. Just to give you an example of some of the platforms out there, if you look at Jupiter, just been going up. This is on the daily chart right there. But my anticipation, Jupiter, once this gets more awareness. HYPE, on the other hand, starts doing perpetual contracts on gold and silver. They, of course, are exploding as well. This means a lot because it starts to affect the RWA markets around tokenized securities. And of course, remember, there was a couple of things that just happened here recently. One was there was a massive spike in RWAs. Now, does that mean that we realize that, or maybe they realize that we're going to see the Senate Ag bill get through? And we're already starting to see people setting up for this. On another note, if you look at the league table right here, Ondo and X stocks, of course, are winning basically overboard. This is already starting to go over $1 billion in terms of total value, dwarfing what Securitize is doing. So this may be a problem for Securitize. And the big winner, if you scroll up a little bit and take a look on total value of tokenized stock metrics, then of course you see Solana starting to make its move. And this, of course, we see just with what's happening on Jupiter. Things are going to get heated here, guys, very quickly. Speaking of another big one to watch, this, of course, is Avalanche. So Galaxy put Avalanche's total RWA distribution to over 1.3 billion. Give you an example of some of these that are going to be waiting on the sideline to essentially get activated very quickly once we see clarity come through or the Senate Ag bill. And of course, that'll have a big deal because remember, let's look right here. You can kind of see. There you go. Avalanche holding at number 5 position, and that's not even with the 1.3 billion coming in. So this would immediately push Avalanche up the charts in terms of RWA opportunity. So with that, what you've got here is Hunter Horsley from Bitwise, and he's talking about vaults, okay? And the reason that this is going to be, they just announced, we're going to have them on next week to talk about this, but this is going to be tokenized securities starting to move their way into vaults. Be on the lookout, guys. This will be huge. And look at this. I mean, we're not talking about just securities. We're talking about funds, ETFs, indexes, money markets, all of this potentially going into vaults. So TradFi is screwed, I think. It's for sure. Let's not forget, because one other thing you got to look at is stablecoins. Stablecoins now critical to the future of finance. If you compare this to what's happening over on Visa, Mastercard, 33 trillion in settlement versus what we're going to see coming in stablecoins, I think will dwarf what's happening on Visa, Mastercard. And it's just the beginning, guys. This is just the beginning for the future of payments. 39% of U.S. merchants now already accepting crypto at checkout. 84% believe crypto payments are going to become common in 5 years. I think that's going to be faster than 5 years, and I think it's going to be higher, because the minute that retail merchants figure out they can use stablecoins and in most cases save on that merchant fee, this is not even a question of if, it's a matter of how fast they migrate it into their entire retail system. Other things that are happening that I think are pushing a lot of the world away from TradFi is what's happening around taxes, because this is a big deal, because the IRS is forcing Coinbase and Robinhood essentially to sell you out. And the idea is they're going to continue to put these 1099 DAs, which most likely is going to cause flags into the IRS. This means audits. This is the kind of situation that we're going to see. And you know what's going to happen here? People, because they're inaccurate first place. And when the IRS starts to understand this and all the retail consumers start to understand what's going on, I think you're going to have a huge move out of centralized exchanges, unfortunately, because of what we're seeing in other markets. Now, don't forget, precious metals play into this too. Gold and silver now, remember, Hyperliquid just announced this today. Big deal, because this is bringing commodities on chain, and all of this is going to be tradable 24/7, starts to move in a completely different dynamic. The game is over. It's just a matter of time. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. Speaking of bottom dollars, let's go to gold right here. Tether. This is Apollo saying, well, we will become the gold central bank in a post-dollar world. We already know. I mean, they continue to fly up the charts in terms of the amount of gold they're holding. XAUT, if you think about where they are going, let's take a look right now. XAUT quite possibly could easily catapult in the next maybe 6 months to a top 10 token if we continue to see these metals move, and tokenized gold and silver becoming a thing in terms of traders, which will take it into DeFi and start to change the way it's done. And of course, you look at Paxos Gold kind of leading the way, but the real number is this one right here, 194,000 holders. My guess is this could go over to 1 million very quickly if we see a parabolic move. Big things ahead, guys. Be watching, because tomorrow is the day to watch. Who is going to be the big winner here? It's going to be Ethereum. And that is because we are going to see tokenized securities, tokenized RWA. Everything is moving on chain tomorrow if the Senate Ag goes through. You can kind of see the hourly chart right here. Nice little move from 2,800 up above 3,000 as we are trading on Ethereum today. So make sure and stick around for more like this. We're going to be covering a lot this week. It's going to be good. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.